Hey guys, it's miicrow here. I wanted to bring a video of what I would consider to be a best in slot flail IG build. This is the build that a lot of you guys have seen me play on stream a lot. After putting it together, I am very surprised how different I think the best in slot build will look compared to the build I have right now. Like, of the current pieces I'm currently wearing, I think maybe two of them would fit into the build, and even then it's probably one if I'm going to be perfectly honest, and we'll go into it uh, in a second. But best in, like, everyone's doing these chest farms and all this stuff. Best in slot looks completely different if you actually look under the hood compared to what people are playing right now, and it is really, really crazy, and I want to get into it and kind of explain my thought process for it. So the high level of this build, I figured out how to do builds on New World Buddy, so that's great, because New World Buddy is a fantastic tool for analyzing builds. But the high level of this build is I am stacking the focus set because the focus 2 passive that gives you cooldown reduction doesn't appear to have an activation cooldown. What this effectively means is every single time you're healing somebody, you get 5% cooldown reduction. With a flail, you have access to an ultimate that heals all allies around you every single 3 seconds. So if I'm around 10 allies and I heal them and I'm getting 5% cooldown reduction per ally, that means I'm getting 50% cooldown reduction every 3 seconds. Which, if that is the case, which it appears to be the case, and I haven't seen anyone kind of disprove that so far. In fact, multiple people I've asked have all pointed to, like, yes, seems like how it's working. There are some really crazy things you could do with that information. So I might have went a little bit overboard on the cooldown reduction, but the point of this sort of setup is to maximize the effectiveness of cooldown reduction. There are some things I could talk about later that are kind of debatable with what you want to change, but that is the reason why we went for the 4-piece focus set. If this did not have the cooldown reduction capability, this best in slot would be completely different. I think that I would probably consider the silencing set a lot more, but without that being the case, it just seems like this is a really good option. The other thing I looked at was the enrage set. I just think there's a very significant bonus for just picking up enraged hunt and then dodging and then pulling people inside of you. Like, I think that's just a very good passive to take. I've used it a bit with a little bit of mixed success, but after thinking about it, I just think it's too big to ignore. In terms of other buffs that we're stacking, we have a little bit of Infected so that I can counter the Invig meta, which I made a separate video on. We have enough freedom to counter combos. Typically, what people were looking at in the past is around 44% to counter CC combos. So if you pick up 3 freedom, you get over that threshold, plus there's a 10% bonus while you're in heavy. So we're a little bit beyond that as well. So we should be good enough there to avoid CC combos. I have a little bit of Prolonged Favor. I would have liked to pick up 4 to 5, but it's simply not possible with this kind of setup. I've got as much Shirking Fort as I could fit in the build. I've got Energizing Rune Glass for stamina. That's just a little thing. And then I have a perk that a lot of you are just going to be like, miicrow, what are you on? Like, you've got to be crazy. But when you read this perk, then you're like, oh my god, he's right. This perk is insane. So, shout out to Gent because he told me about this, and I didn't realize this. But Hasted Vigor 2, so the way that Hasted Vigor 1 worked was it made it so that damage over times were reduced by a certain amount, but the haste never stacked. With Hasted Vigor 2, it turns out the haste stacks. So by running 5 Hasted Vigor in defensive slots, I just pick up passive 45% haste because people use dot rune glass all the time. So I could just run around at Mach 10 and nobody could stop me. I'm literally at haste cap all the time. It doesn't matter if I'm slowed, basically, at that point. Like, I am just going to be sprinting everywhere. And I thought that was hilarious and pretty good, to the point where it made sense. Like, yeah, we could stack it. Like, is 5 overkill? Maybe. Is it funny? Yeah. So we're going for it, this sort of setup. Uh, I did Flail, Ice Gauntlet. These are sample trees. I think the trip is debatable because we have enough cooldown reduction. Warden Bludge becomes insane if you could just constantly give people damage reduction. So if I have 50% cooldown reduction, all I'm doing is spamming buttons, right? And if all I'm doing is spamming buttons, Warding Bludge is a really good button to spam. So that just seems like something that inherently could be good. Ice Gauntlet, pretty standard tree here. In terms of the other stuff, when we're looking at Plague Herald, I put freedom on here because Invig kind of counters the debuff on yourself, which then makes it harder to apply to allies, but normally I like to go for Invig stacking. I went Mending Vortex because there's a skill perk locked. Everything else here is pretty standard. The weird thing is this comes with Vital Synergy on it, so that changes stuff a little bit because we have Vital Synergy on there. We no longer need it on the chest piece, so we can pick up a Prolonged Favor, Shirking Fork combo there. I did it with an Elemental Hunger Infix, so this is going to be ungodly hard to hit an RG roll for, but honestly, the Prolonged Favor I think is a little debatable if we're not going to stack 4 of it. The reason why 4 of Prolonged Favor is a really good threshold is Healing Heart now gives you a heal over time for 3 seconds. If you hit Prolonged Favor, that will give you an extra tick, which is an extra 9% of your max HP, which is obviously very good, which is why we're stacking it. If you don't like Prolonged Favor, you could switch it out for like Divine or something similar. Uh, on the gloves for the focus set suck, if I'm gonna be honest, but the Elemental Hunger passive's too good to ignore on the chest piece, even though the focus has like a way better chest piece than the glove. I still went for the focus set gloves because I like had to fit it in and there was not really anywhere else to fit it. So that's why that exists. It comes with free and aggression, which isn't ideal. I put Purifying Switch on here, which is hitting a target with an ability within 5 seconds of swapping weapons will cleanse 1 debuff. There is definitely an argument that this is troll, because with this setup, you're basically looking to stay on your main hand as long as possible. So if you were going to switch this, I'd probably switch it for like another fixed perk that's good. So I'm thinking like Shirking Fortification, probably my number 1. Prolonged Favor would probably be my number 2. So those are like your options there, realistically. Hasted Vigor is a funny perk. Infected is good because this is a disease-based build. We have disease from Plague Herald. Uh, Moving on to, I guess I could explain Plague Herald a bit for people that don't understand it. So the way that Plague Herald works, this is an artifact that not a lot of people use, but Plague Herald is a artifact that if you hit somebody, you put a stacking debuff on them. That stacking debuff every time you reapply it refreshes and then adds the amount of invig, or the amount of infected that you have to it. What this effectively means in practical terms is if somebody is stacking 95 to 100% Jin plus Invig, it literally doesn't matter, and this will just cut right through it like butter, and they can't do anything about it. You literally cannot get rid of this debuff. It is impossible to get rid of the first stacking debuff. The second one you can counter with Invig, like the over the cloud, but that's not the OP part. The OP part about this is the first one. People are just going to be passively sitting at 30% disease, which is enough to the point where it really counters the Invig meta and questions a lot of things that people are assuming right now. So that's why I'm going for Plague Herald and not saying, hey, I'm going to go for Relentless in this current meta. Plus, with Relentless, you can't pick up really funny kite shields like this one that I'll get to later. So that's the idea behind that. In terms of heavy beat or heavy feet, I think if in order to hit the 4 focus set, you have to use the focus ones, and they kind of suck. They have hardcore parkour on them, which is like a perk that is literally a dead slot, but it doesn't matter because it's still good. I put Freedom on here. I put Purifying Toast for a reason that I'll get into a bit. That's a little bit overkill potentially, but we're taking advantage of this focus passive with this build. And one of the ways to take advantage of the focus set passive is to heal yourself. And one way that you could heal yourself with some clever manipulation of the flail is if you cleanse effects, there is a perk that will heal you. So this is a way to heal you. Purifying Switch technically is a way to heal you. Flail has Vortex, which is a way to heal you because it's cleansing effects. And then there's other things like if you swap to IG, but if you swap to IG, you don't actually get the CDR because then you swapped off your weapon. So there's like little things like that that are worth considering, and the little details that really matter with the setup. So you're basically looking to stay on flail as much as humanly possible so that you could spam your buttons is like the goal with this build. Amulet. Uh, this is a PvP specific amulet that is possible to drop that I have heard has actually dropped for people. Yes, you can get 4 protections on an amulet. Is it balanced? Probably not. Is it stupid? Yes. Is it good? Also yes. So, that's kind of funny. Moving on to ring. This is where I fit in the focus ring. I think rings are the weakest part from a defensive standpoint, and it's a slot you could afford to sacrifice. I put the focus set on there. In terms of your earrings, I guess one other thing that's noteworthy, this Enraged Hunt, this is an infix. Elemental Hunger is also an infix. Elemental Hunger one, it could be an infix, it could not be an infix. Like, that's kind of a minor detail. The plate greaves with the Enraged Hunt, those the ones that actually give the set bonus, like, they're really, really bad if you're trying to, like, not do damage. Like, if I look up the, enrage set for these, like, they're just, like, not good perks. Like, Terminal Vengeance and Sacrificial Empowerment are, like, probably the two worst perks that you could, like, have on there if you're trying to be a utility role. So that's why I'm, like, really avoiding using those, and why I'm saying, hey, I really want the infix for that slot, which I have an example, like, infix here, and I think I also have, like, one other somewhere in storage. But I've got got a couple of these, and they feel pretty good. So that's why I'm kind of going that route and not going the Enraged Hunt Legs route. Going on to rings, a lot of these perks are locked. The only one I could really choose is Purifying Heart. I put Infected on here, so that's kind of the other option. In terms of earrings, Refreshment, Healing Heart, Fortifying Toast, in my opinion, is a must. The last perk slot's kind of whatever you want, and I put an opal on there, so that's why this is set up the way it's set up. In terms of flail and IG, this is where it starts to get really weird. Every other flail build in the past, I would have told you, you are literally trolling if you're not running Power Stone. Considering if we go into a meta where Invig is present, Power Stone's weaken is effectively useless. So I broke that rule, and I picked up a flail from the focus set, and this lets me hit the 4 focus bonus. That flail has Empowering Heal on there, which is an okay perk. I put Freedom on it. I put a gem slot, which came with the thing with a disease gem. Thwarting Strikes came with it, and then I have Purifying Breeze too. So healing, or heal for 20% weapon damage every time you remove a debuff from an ally. So obviously that is insane for flail, especially if you have flail all the time, because the instant you cleanse something, you're basically going to have another cleanse up. It's literally going to be possible to go cleanse into cleanse into cleanse uh with this kind of setup, which is just really scary, because that cleanse is cleansing debuffs, which is then applying a heal, right? And then there's also another heal from the vortex just spinning around. That heals twice. Like if I use a vortex here, like you'll see, well, I don't have it taking damage, but it will heal twice. So it'll heal twice to everyone in that clump, and then you have an additional heal from cleansing things, and that heal is per thing that you cleanse. So you basically have the ability just to go vortex into vortex into vortex if this all works out the way that it seems like it might work out, which is ridiculous. And then on the IG side, I also didn't pick up an artifact. I picked up the final piece of the Enrage set, because I don't really like the Enrage armor. I don't really like the Enrage jewelry, because normal jewelry is kind of OP. So this is where we fit that in. And then in terms of perks on here, Keenly Fortified is the only noteworthy one. Keenly Fortified is on equip, it's not on active, so I could put it on IG and it will still be active for the flail when the flail is out. So that's the funny thing. I put Unending Storm on here. There's definitely an argument for this to be Healing Tomb, so either one of those I think is probably fine. In terms of what I have on the Kite Shield now, it says Cleansing Block, so again, cleanse while I have the flow out. While you have the flow out, you're gonna have a Kite Shield on. That's gonna heal you. That heal is then gonna proc the focus passive, which is just gonna refresh your cooldowns. So that's the funny thing with that. Hasted Vigor is just a funny perk. I put Smite on there because I couldn't fit Smite anywhere else. And then I have Arcane Protection and Thrust Protection, which I think are the other protections I care about. I care about Arcane, Thrust, Strike / Void Flame, usually. Lightning is okay to care about if you're going versus a lot of bows, but I don't think there's anything else that's like super, super major. So those are the ones I went for. And in terms of Heart Rune, I did Vines for the simple combo of you have your Plate Greaves, you get to 4 stacks, you dodge, that pulls people in, you could then Vines them or drop a shower, and they're just not having a good time. The other funny thing with this is if you drop a shower, like if I drop a shower like here, and then I dodge, you could pull people into the shower from the other side, they get trapped and they have to walk out. It's like really, really funny how it works. So that's like the little basic synergy with that. This is also why a few weeks ago I put out a video and I was like, there might not be as many bruisers slotted as you guys think, because just off that little tiny combo of being able to like CC people over and over and over again, I was just like, maybe IGBG just takes over. But I think if we get to a point where IGBG is taking over, well, the battle will kind of balance itself out. Bruisers will swap to Freedom, stack Freedom, and probably end up with like 95% Freedom or something stupid, to the point where you aren't really able to be trapped anymore, and then we go back to a meta where Bruiser is more prevalent. So We'll see who eats who in terms of the meta and like what ends up shaping up. But this is an example set of what endgame gear would look like. The thing that was really striking to me, first off, let me know what you guys think of this if I like overcooked on anything, assuming the assumptions that we're making that have been data mined to be true are true. But besides that point, the really interesting part to me was like, look how prevalent infix gear is, and look how not prevalent the gear is that drops from these open world drops. So like one of the big complaints I've been seeing a lot on Reddit, I've been seeing in the YouTube comments even for my videos, is just like it's just not fun end game content to go to these like drop locations and just like uh farm gorillas for hours or farm the sun tower. It's like that gear, it's good gear, but it's not end game level gear. Like that is early to mid game level gear. If you want end game level gear, the set bonuses are incredibly OP. Like you need to be going for set bonuses. Like if I wasn't going for set bonuses, then that sort of gear would be viable for this build. Like if I was like, I don't really care about the focus set. Let's just get rid of that. And what if I was like, oh, let's just go for the stifling set or like the set where you just silence people. Like that would be completely different. But it's just something I kind of thought of that was really interesting. The other thing I thought was really interesting when I was putting this together is I was thinking about it, and there's the tenacity set, which is like when you get hit like the 2 bonus for it, or maybe I could even pull it up here. Is it tenacity or is it something else? I think it's tenacity. Yeah, it's tenacity. So there's a bonus here where it's like get grit for 2 seconds after getting staggered. However, take 5% more damage when grit is active. I'm starting to think about this, and it seems like bait to me at this point, and I kind of want to explain why. So if you take this set, when you get staggered, if you get staggered once and then you get staggered again, you get the opportunity to dodge roll. This set basically removes your opportunity to get a dodge roll. The other thing about this set is just taking 5% more damage while grit is active. One of the main components that was buffed super heavily this season was infused grit potions. And grit potions now give you grit and they give you uninterruptible. So as long as you use these like decently well, there's not really a huge point of going for the tenacity set, which I thought was interesting because when the expansion first came out, I was like, oh, tenacity would be really good. The more I think about it, the less convinced I am that this set is best in slot. Like, I think it's a good set, but I don't think it's like absolutely mandatory for every role in the game. And I think it's actually a detriment to a lot of roles in the game because you're going to start taking more damage while you have grit active. Like, I think bruisers will likely end up using it just because it's easy to get grit using a set like this. But at the same time, you could just go for the ring infix that I could find on my gear slots. I think it's in one of these. Yeah, this one. Where you get... No, it's not that one. Oh, man, it's not on there anymore. Is it in... Where's my funny one that a lot of people are jealous of? Unstoppable. So you get grit on melee, heavy attacks, and during melee, light attack startups. Like, you could run that as well, and you don't have to run this set. So there's, like, multiple ways to get to the same end goal here. I really wouldn't worry about it too much. The main thing to take away from this kind of exercise of, like, looking at one build, this is a build that, like, 90% of you guys probably won't play, right? Like, 95% of you won't play this build. But the exercise I'd encourage you looking at is, like, when you actually map out what gear is really good for your build, does it matter if you're farming like the tower and like all these things, or are you just super dependent on infixes and are you super dependent on other things? Because for me, I'm super dependent on infixes. I'm super dependent on these set bonuses, and if I'm super dependent on these two, then the random gear I get in open world basically doesn't matter. Like it matters for amulet, and it matters for my kite shield, and it matters for my earring. But those are like the 3 components that it really matters for. Everything else is either an infix or a set bonus, and at that point, uh it doesn't matter to do these like really grindy farms that give you lots of drops but might not be good drops. So that's something I thought was really interesting. Also didn't end up stacking a lot of defensive perks, but we picked up so much utility through just CDR from this focus set that I don't think it really matters. And I don't know, this is just like a very different, like I've never done a build like this where it was just like you think about like while you're building like what the implications of everything is, and it's just so odd, like so incredibly odd. The other thing I probably could have taken advantage of is I have fortifying toast here, and on my bar I didn't put fortifying toast, but I just take out the oak flush and put that in. So that's a minor detail, but Yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I mean, I guess in terms of stat splits too, because I didn't go over that. This says 620. This is really 11, so I mean, and it's like 21 to all these elementals because of the elemental hunger bonus. So don't really worry about that too much. It's effectively a 21-20 split, without even using a gem in the shield because I didn't put one in there because I wanted another hasted vigor because I think it's a funny perk. So let me know what you guys think. Sorry it's a longer video, but thought this was kind of interesting, and I'll see you in the next one.